And the Y'all Show is back on the air, and we're here to talk a little country music with you and y'all. I'm John Rawl, and when we talk country music, we bring on from Music Road, Nashville, Tennessee, Preshias Harris, who is the author of I Know Country, and that has 366 daily country music questions and answers. Also, Precious is a music career development consultant, and she helps aspiring artists and songwriters out. And her artist website for that to go to is Nashville Music Line. Also, you can go to the website iknowcountry.com to learn more about Preshias Harris. And you don't have to worry about Precious too much because you can get your own dose of Precious right now because she's coming on the Y'all Show to talk about what's going on in Nashville, Music City, USA. Well, welcome, Miss Precious.
Hello. Well, first of all, I need to apologize because last week I actually got the wrong Florida Georgia line one, but I was reading TikTok, I was reading Instagram, I was reading everything, and I didn't check my email about the press release, and then I realized that it was not Brian Kelly that had it; it was Tyler Hubbard that had COVID, and he's still, quarantining outside of his home in the bus with his little ones knocking on the door. So officially, it was that. So I apologize for that mistake.
Apologies accepted. We'll try to have an error-free Y'all Show with you today, Precious, because I think it was 2 weeks ago we had a song called Islands in the Sun listed down. And trust me, I've made 100 mistakes or more, but a lot of people may not catch some of my mistakes. But I've got a few, and we even started this interview out with a few of my mistakes on this end. But that's okay. Nobody said you had to be perfect, but we are close enough to perfect, just like Alabama. Hey, Precious, what's going on in country music? A little bit of you don't have this on your notes, but a little bit of controversy, if you will, based on what happened with the CMA Awards from a couple of weeks ago, where you had Jason Isbell and somebody else that was teamed up with him angry at the CMA. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, Amanda Shires. Actually, CMA did understand and actually reached out when he turned in, I guess, his lifetime membership. But I don't want to discuss too much about that. But I do want to add that, they had the dedication of Charlie Daniels and Joe Diffie, which were the mainstream artists. Jerry Jeff Walker and John Prine, even though they were country artists, was more in the Americana genre.
Yeah.
I do wish that they would have done at least a small, like a tribute to both of those artists, even though that they're considered country artists, because before the Americana platform came in, there was no other place to put them. You had alternative country, and they really don't fit there. But I sad to see that controversy because there was also a really bad article written by a magazine here in town that's got a lot of the media and journalists here who work here on Music Row come to a conclusion that this magazine probably shouldn't have printed that story. We're having such a hard time surviving on Music Row, and it looked like a mean girl had written the story, and it's just very, very sad. Actually, a couple of the magazines that I write for, the editor and the owners of the magazine had posted on their Facebook page, "We are so sorry that someone like this took advantage of the situation and decided to write a mean article, misspell things, accuse Charlie Daniels of some issues that he is no way a part of, some things." And I want to get into it. And I'm not talking political. I'm talking other issues. They have no idea about Charlie. I've known that man for 35 plus years. And I do know that his camp is very upset about it. So I'm just going to see how that pans out. But I got a feeling that this journalist who wrote the story will probably not be invited to any number one parties or get things that you could do as a journalist to let you continue what you do, what you love. Like I said, I promised to God many years ago when I was having some issues with my site that, and I never ever wrote anything bad, maybe about a divorce or something like that, but I never ever wrote anything bad. Even when the artist was going through rough times, I always, unless I absolutely had to, and my editor forced me to write about a divorce or something that was negative toward the artist, I've always promised and do right by the artist 100% of of good things, because this world's plenty of places to write bad things and do things, but that's just not the way we roll here on Music Row. So I'm anxious to see how that turns out.
Precious, if you don't mind, let's clear up the record here just so people aren't wondering. That bad person journalist was not you, and it wasn't me, right?
Right.
Okay. Whew. All right. Good news. Good news. We don't want to burn all our connections on Music
Oh,
Row.
no, believe me, I wouldn't be sitting here if it was me, I promise.
Because
I've been
we don't
ashamed.
mind. We don't mind talking about the bad, but we really like talking about the good, and we like to talk about the good in people. And Precious, with Thanksgiving just days away, how about your old boy Tracy Lawrence? I know you've attended his annual turkey benefit that he does in Nashville. I'm going to pull up a photo of that here in a second, but tell me more about what Tracy Lawrence does to help out Nashville each Thanksgiving.
Well, he's actually been doing this for like 15 years. 15 years. I've actually been a whole lot more involved in it in the last 10 years. But yeah, it's so funny because remember, I was his intern in 91. That's actually how I met you. You were asking for one of his CDs to review.
I know.
Uh, anyway, but he started in 2006. And I want to say that he's raised right at $1 million to feed Nashville's homeless. And he does it every year, and he does the concert, raise money, and but this year the virtual concert is going to be held at the Wild Horse, but they're going to go it through Talk, Shop, and Live, yes, and it's free to watch the concert, and but like I said, every bit of the money goes straight to feed the homeless in Nashville through the Nashville Rescue Mission. So there's no organization or anything, goes straight to Tracy's charity that he works with every year. He starts preparing for it in August and September, and volunteers come out and set up their deep fryers. And I think last year I forgot how many turkeys. I want to say they did like 400 turkeys. But anyway, but yeah, he's raised about $1 million for this charity to feed the homeless. So
$1 million, and how about this? They've made approximately 97,000 meals for the homeless community around Nashville.
Yes, over the period of 15 in 15 years. So that's a lot of meals to feed. Because he also does it during the year. He makes donations and things like that too. So it's not just around Thanksgiving. Tracy's constantly involved in charity work, and like I said, it's he and I became friends when I was his intern, and we stayed friends and through the years. And I actually had someone contact me that knew we were friends. Said, "Hey, I work in this company, and I keep having some mail sent back from Mr. Lawrence. Can you make sure he gets it?" And he was very happy because it was something that he really deserved. He's been looking for it for 7 months, but he finally got his letter, so which is a good thing. So it pays to, do good and behave yourself in this town and stay friends with people that you love and care about and support.
Yes, Tracy Lawrence, good on you for what you're doing there in the Nashville community. Now let's move over and talk about another artist that is giving Tracy Lawrence arguably a run for some of the holiday spirit, but he's also got a new album that's dropping within hours, and we're talking about Kentuckian Chris Stapleton. First off, Precious, the news of the week is that he was alongside Jimmy Kimmel for an appearance this week, and it sounds like he might have a holiday album of his own coming out with a little bit of a coronavirus, and I say that in jest. Tell me more about Stapleton on his appearance on Kimmel.
Well, he did like a fake commercial. Jimmy's always poking fun at everybody. One of my favorite skits is when he tries to get Blake Shelton to eat sushi. And I go back and watch it, and it's so funny. I mean, even if you're in a really bad mood and you need to laugh, go Google Jimmy Kimmel and Blake Shelton in the sushi skit. Okay. Anyway, but Chris did a very, how you had a very Merry Christmas. It's a very COVID Christmas. But anyway, it's not a real song, but anyway, but it was just like a skit they did for Chris. And his album dropped this last week, and I was listening to a demo that I pitched. I had a surprise visit from my artist that was on The Voice last year this week. Helped him do some business stuff we needed to do. Guy Thrigden from Louisiana, and I had played him a song that Chris did my demo 15 years ago on for one of my songwriter friends, and he'd sent it to me 3 years ago, and I've been trying to get it cut. And I'm just thinking maybe it's meant to be cut by one of my clients, and I got 2 clients that wants to cut it. So I'm just like holding my breath. They can both cut it. They just can't both release it at the same time. But anyway, kudos to Mr. Chris. I love him. He's one of the Kentucky people that you watch coming up through the ranks as a songwriter and then an artist. And so I'm proud. And he's also such a good husband and a good father and just an all around good person.
Yeah, and here's some artwork for this fake Corona Christmas thing. He put out a photo here, Stapleton under the Christmas tree with a nice bottle of disinfectant or whatever that is there. But yeah, it was a fun appearance here. But he's also promoting, besides Christmas and holiday cheer, he's also promoting Starting Over. That is the new album that is out here this week. And one of the songs on there, I don't know if you've seen the track listing, Precious, but one of the tunes that a lot of people are kind of talking about is what's called a self-therapy session. The song is Maggie's Song. Have you heard about this one?
Yes, I have, and you'll have to remind me about it.
It's about the loss of a very, very special object. Yeah. His dog, Maggie, and he wrote this song shortly after Maggie passed away. And Precious, you've been a pet owner, and have you felt like writing about your pet's loss at one point in your life?
Actually, yes.
Are you getting emotional right now?
I am. No. I mean, anytime, because like I said, we don't have any children, so our pets are like our kids. I call them our fur kids. But no, Maggie was one of those people who was with Chris through the hard times and the rough times, and they become a family member,
Yeah.
And very emotional, especially when you have someone that was with him. He was talking about how she would sit while he writes songs, and just part of the family, and just they love you unconditional, and when you have an animal like that in your life, my grandmother used to have a pet mule like that, and she would tell me, called her Pearl, that whenever she come out the door, Pearl would always come to the fence and wait for Mama to get ready to come see her. So I mean, they can be different kinds of animals, but there's especially the ones though that you keep in the house with you tends to be a little bit more more you consider like family. And like you've been to our home and seen our 3 pets all rescued. We have a 3-legged Jack Russell that someone threw from a car that we rescued. Then we have a couple of little cats that we got by way of friends that no one wanted the kittens. And then we got one that somebody had kidnapped the cat, and we got her back, and she never went back to the original owners. We had to keep her till the things got sorted out. So, and it's good. They all got their little quirks, and you can be having a rough day. I will tell you though, they said that the people that have animals during the COVID, that their depression numbers are lower than people who do not have a pet, by some of the research done by the Suicide Awareness Line I was watching yesterday.
All right. Well, that is a new album. Have you had a chance to hear the whole album yet?
No, I cannot wait. I've downloaded it. I just haven't had a chance to listen yet.
Okay.
And I downloaded Shenandoah's new record, which I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
New music just in time for the holidays. We're talking today with Preshias Harris, Nashville music line, here on the show that's all about the South and more. Good to have you aboard. If you have a question or comment for Preshias that you'd like to fire away, she certainly is ready, willing, and able to talk about anything to do with country music, and we're glad that she's available for that. Now, what is this Christmas for Kids event that's going on, Preshias?
This I'm doing it this year. Usually, we have about 88 to 90 tour buses. Actually, it was started many years ago, but Garth was one of the very first ones to hop on it years ago. And but the tour buses come out, and tour bus companies donate their bus for free, the gas and everything. And we would go to the different schools in Sumner County and Robertson County, and we have a list provided us by the school faculty of kids that are in need of extra, and the families need of extra special help with their children this year, either hardship or job loss and thing. And they weren't going to do it this year because of COVID. And everybody was like, there's got to be a way. If we could do everything Zoom, surely to God, we could get these lists and shop for these kids safely and have them Christmas, because we usually take care of 400 underprivileged kids. And that is a lot of kids that would not have Christmas if it wasn't Christmas for Kids. And you've been doing it 30 years times 400 kids at a time. That's a lot of Christmases saved by Christmas for Kids. But they usually Monday night they usually do a bus tour, and have the buses nose to nose to nose. And you pay $5. You can go through the buses and get autographs and meet the up and coming stars. Taylor Swift did it till they couldn't have her anymore because it was just out. They were wrapped around the parking lot. But everybody that's anybody in the last 20 years has been part of Christmas for Kids. And usually we have an organization donate a coat. So each kid gets a coat. And they're usually kindergarten to I think 11 or fifth or sixth grade, depending on what the school, if it's 1 to 5 or 1 to 6th grade. Um, and it's just I've got everybody I've got involved in it has come back and did it every year since I've got them involved in it. But it's just you've seen some touching moments with the parents just hugging you and crying when you bring a bicycle out from under the bus that you had got your kid, or I always go over, and Mike goes, "How much did you go over?" I said, "I bought pajamas and I bought shoes and socks."
Pajamas? Where are you
Yeah,
from?
well, a lot of these kids don't even have socks. One little girl one year didn't have any. It was 20 degrees and she had flip flops on. And she goes, "Please don't use my money for that. I want toys." I said, "Honey, you're going to get toys. You're going to get, it's usually $150 to $175. I said, "I'm going to get you toys, but you got to let me get you a pair of pajamas. Let's get you some socks and some underwear and just things that you need to keep you warm for the winter." So we got her an iPad, a bicycle, and clothes and things like that. It just made me, I mean, every year I just go back because it's just such a wonderful feeling. And I look forward to Christmas for Kids and have for the last 20, 24, 24 plus years that I've done it, you know.
Precious, let's move on here on the show to bring a little fun to the subject. Of course, always talking about holiday stuff is something that will bring a smile to the old face. Let's ask a trivia question. Sorry, Santa, for butchering your ho 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 there. Hey, how about this name? Tell me if this name sounds familiar, Precious, because this is part of our trivia question this week. Eileen Regina Edwards. Is that a big country music singer, Precious? Have you gone and checked out any of Eileen's records lately?
I was actually around when she got her deal.
Oh, okay. Well, this person, Eileen Regina Edwards, is the subject of our trivia question. Who is Eileen Regina Edwards? Who, by the way, that's the real name. The stage name of this person has gone on to become one of the biggest selling, and at one time was the biggest selling female artist, I think, in any genre, but certainly in country music. And we'll have the answer to who the heck Eileen Regina, I don't know how she's pronounced it, Edwards. I know what she goes by with her stage name. I can pronounce that pretty good. We'll have that trivia question answered in just a moment. Now, this guy, I don't think is using a stage name, but he might have to use a bunch of aliases when he's off the stage because he's a really big star. Luke Combs. Precious. This guy continues to be on a roll. He's just nonstop.
Well, and it's a funny that we would talk about him because, after the CMA Awards, and once again, he won the same awards he won at the ACM Awards, which is best new male or best male vocalist of the year. He's not new anymore. And best album. I was real surprised. Don't get me wrong. I love his record, and I've downloaded it, but I also, Miranda Lambert's Wild Card, I was surprised that, like I said, I knew it would be one of those two, but I wasn't surprised that he got it. But I knew it was going to be either him or Miranda. But he actually tried out for The Voice, and he made it through the round and then the round, and then he was supposed to go to Hollywood, and he got a letter saying you weren't interested. So he probably didn't have what they call a backstory, for better use of words.
Yeah.
But Blake Shelton said he should take the letter and frame it and put it beside his triple platinum award for his record. Blake, he's always doing his little puns, but, and he was just a college kid in 2016. So he actually drove to Atlanta to audition. And you think about this, I always say your decisions determine your destinies. So he went ahead and came on to Nashville, and I heard through the grapevine, and I was there, but I didn't realize that's who it was, that he would go to Whiskey Jam and meet people and network and just watch how performers did and listen to things, the songwriters. And he started getting in his groove, and he got a songwriter, Ray Fulcher, who's a Georgia boy, got in them just writing really great songs, and it led to where he's at today. But he dedicated, once he got through with that, it just actually added fuel to the fire of what he had to do to make it in the business. And you have the driven, you just know that people are going to do it by the drive that they have.
Yeah.
Like Garth Brooks, I was watching an interview with Tony Arata yesterday, and he said he knew that Garth was going to be a star somehow, some way, because he was so driven when he come to town. And he would go to the Bluebird, and 3 years before he recorded the dance or even had his deal, he had met Tony Arata, who wrote the dance, and they'd stayed friends and did shows together and stuff. And Garth kept saying, "I'm going to cut the dance one day." And of course, now it's one of his signature songs. Um, but just having that relationship with Tony, he told him, he made a promise he was going to cut that record, and he did. And it led to him stardom. But once again, he had that work ethic. I had one of my former bosses wrote a song called Alibis, and it didn't make Tracy Lawrence's first record because he got shot the day that he finished uh, his first debut album on Atlantic. He finished it May 31st, and he got shot that night. So they had to wait to release it.
Mm-hmm.
But Tracy promised Randy Boudreaux that he was going to cut Alibis. And he did on his next record. Of course, it was the title track, and it's what put him over that hump to start his way to be a country star. But, and you go on your word here. So if you look and you see something that's just right at, that's the song, I'm going to record it. I need to do it. You better do it. And because it's proven over and over again that, your gut instinct as an artist really pays off in the long run if you'll just listen to your gut.
Precious,
And
you mentioned the CMA Awards, and while we have that on our mind, again, Luke Combs winning "What You See Was What You Get," the album of the year at the CMA Awards, and then he won Male Vocalist of the Year honors in this virtual CMA that was held in Nashville just the other day. Also, Entertainer of the Year was Luke Combs' fellow North Carolinian and fellow Appalachian State University alumnus Eric Church. Was that a surprise that Eric Church won Entertainer of the Year?
not at all. I have my assistant Katrina is a huge Eric Church fan, and we're lucky enough to be invited to his number one party for several number ones. That was there. One of my friends actually that co-wrote "Broken Heartsville" was a co-writer on one of the songs, but he was very deserving. And like I said, Eric has nonstop worked diligently ever since he got to town. And I'm not surprised that he took it home. Um, because if you get to see him on stage, I think he played 2.5 hours straight. And I can't remember one year he was at the CMA and they had to stop it because of the storms or some tornado was leering over, which it usually does sometimes in June. Uh, but Katrina had went and took pictures and was sending me pictures of the concert. She had a media pass for the CMA Awards last year, and I was going through some cancer stuff, so I stayed at home and sent her out there to do the dirty work. And I just wrote about it. But she told me, she said he needs to be Entertainer of the Year. So she's had her fingers crossed for the CMA last year, then the ACM this year, and then this year she got her wish. Third time's a charm. So he won Entertainer of the Year, and I'm very proud because he definitely deserved it. It wasn't a surprise.
All right. That again held just the other day in Nashville. Let's look at some of the other winners. The newcomer of the year or new artist of the year is what they call it technically, Morgan Wallen. What'd you think about that honor?
Um, I think he was more surprised than anybody else because he walked on stage like he'd just been hit in the head with a wet dish rag, you know. But I think it's because the previous media stuff that has happened to him with Saturday Night Live and some of the parodies that's been happening on TikTok. But I'll have to say, on Morgan's behalf, last year, I think it was last year, it was when he had Whiskey Glasses number one party. And there was another party for a huge artist across town. So, but I have interviewed a lot of the bigger artists, so I love working with the up and coming independent artists. And it was his party for that, and we were at the Sutler, and there was 3 or 4 of us media people there, and it's usually 10 or 12. So we got to ask extra questions, and which tickled me to death because I got to do a really cool story on it. You know, more than just 150 words, I got to do like 300, 400 words. But I'm sitting, and because of my cancer, I have a handicap tag, and I'm sitting in the handicap. He goes past me after the show to get in a limo, and he stops and turns around and comes back to me puts his hand on my window and looks inside. He goes, I just want to thank you for coming. It meant a lot for me for you to be here. And I appreciate all your questions. They're actually really good questions. And I thought he did not have to do that. So I'm a fan of Morgan as a person. And just seeing that as a new artist come over and realize, oh, that's the lady that was in the media room. He comes back, didn't crawl in the limo with everybody else and made him wait till he came over and acknowledged me. And I thought, they can say what you want to say, but he's a gentleman, and you need to leave him alone.
Good job there, Morgan. Hey, another person with an M first name won female vocalist honors. Maren Morris picking up that honor at the CMA Awards. The musical event of the year was I Hope You're Happy Now, Carly Pearce and Lee Brice. Great song there, co-written at least by Luke Combs. And then the music video of the year, Bluebird from Miranda Lambert. That kind of puts a wrap on the CMA Awards for 2020. I'm glad they were able to hold the darn thing in this wild year that we've been living in. Let's answer that trivia question, Preshias Harris. And the trivia question that we asked earlier was, what is the stage name of the person that's actually born and raised as Eileen Regina Edwards? This person went on to become the biggest selling country music female artist, and maybe even in all formats. And I think that accomplishment has now been topped by others. I don't know the answer. I do know the answer. Preshias, help me out. Who is the person that had that stage name of Eileen Regina Edwards? What is their stage name?
Their stage name is Shania Twain.
Oh, yes, the Canadian.
And remember, she raised her siblings after her parents died. So, she had a lot of, when she came to Nashville, she already had her dream, but you have to realize she had been through so much. She was a very strong woman, and it takes a strong person, a woman in the early 90s trying to break into country music. She ended up doing meeting Mutt Lange, who became her husband and her producer, and then they ended up getting divorced. But the backstory of this, Shania was a really good actual songwriter. Natural ability. And one of my good friends, Eric Heatherly, she was actually instrumental in getting his record deal at the time with Mercury, when he had his deal with Mercury, when she had her deal. And I think on that label, it was Polygram Mercury, how you have sister labels, but it was the Headhunters, Shania, Eric Heatherly,
Sammy Kershaw.
Sammy Kershaw, and a couple of other ones. But I just remember her being so sweet when I met her at her first #1 party. She was just so down to earth. And I didn't even realize she was Canadian because her accent was not just a few little things, but I actually thought she was in America until I did the story and the research for Texas Country and realized she was, from Canada.
She's from up there. She's from way up there, too. I think she was born almost at the Arctic Circle is where she was raised. But Shania Twain, the answer. And, hey, recently, I'm talking about in the last 6-7 years, Preshias, she was named the most beautiful woman in country music. Not bad for somebody who debuted in country music 25 years ago.
I know, and I don't think she aged, but she's still, like I said, she took very good care of herself. But she, especially with her having massive success so fast, when you would think she would be different, but she really hasn't changed. For my friends that work with her, and a couple of my friends actually were agents in Las Vegas when she had her Las Vegas show out there. But it's good to know that she loves being in Nashville. She loves the industry here, so it's good to see her hit 100 million plus records.
Golly, that's quite a feat. I assume, is it Taylor Swift that might have usurped her in album sales?
Yeah, it's close.
Okay.
But as far as the record, I have to look, but I know that they're probably neck and neck.
Neck and neck. All right. Hey, speaking of success on the charts right now, let's take a quick look at what's going on in the latest Billboard chart. At 5 this week, One Beer. That's Hardy featuring Lauren Elena and Devin Dawson. At 4 is Happy Anywhere. That is from Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani. Nice tandem there. Number 3, One of Them Girls, Lee Brice, the new CMA Award-winning Lee Brice there. Also, Morgan Wallen, you just mentioned him as a CMA Award winner as the newcomer. Morgan Wallen's latest record is More Than My Hometown at number 2 this week. And number 1, Russell Dickerson from Union City, Tennessee, Obion County. Love You Like I Used To. His, I think, 4th number 1 song for that talented Tennessean. And that's a quick look at what's going on in the top 5 of country airplay this week in country music. In country music history, Precious, before we get out of here with you, it was on this week in 1989, the movie Still Magnolias came out. That had, of course, Julia Roberts, Daryl Hannah, but it also had Dolly Parton alongside Sally Field. I haven't seen that movie. I've heard about it. I guess it's kind of a chick flick, so will you forgive me for not seeing that one?
Yeah, it's a chicks movie. It's so funny. We have a group on Facebook of about 7 or 8 of us from the class of 80 from Edmonson County, Kentucky,
Yeah.
and we call ourselves the Steel Magnolias.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and so we're always supporting each other. We got a group chat to make sure, checking with everybody and their grandkids, and it was really rough because our hometown is so small that everybody knows everybody, and this would have been our 40th high school reunion this year, and we didn't get to have it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I know it's very unfortunate because it's like a reunion, literally. We know everybody, and everybody knows everybody. A lot of them don't get to come in because they live far away, but I'm lucky to be an hour and a half south of Mammoth Cave, where our high school. I could just buzz up the road. But it's we have such a great time and dancing and playing music and catching up and just eating. It's like it literally is like a reunion with food and music.
Well, I'm glad it's called a reunion. They're Precious there in your portion of Kentucky. Hey, let me come back into the good graces of all you movie watchers who think I'm an idiot for not saying Still Magnolias. It was this week, some 12, 13 years ago, that Walk the Line. And that is a song or movie about Johnny and June Carter Cash. And that came out 15 years ago. It was this week. That's hard to believe, 15 years ago, since Middle Tennessee's own Reese Witherspoon was a co-star in Walk the Line. That was 15 years ago here this week. Also, Harper Valley PTA was the number 1 in Billboard Country Album from Jeannie C. Riley this week in 1968. Hey, let's give a few shout-outs to some birthdays here, Precious, as a lot of people have birthdays this time of the year. And let's start off with Dan Huff. Dan Huff, not a singer, but is a producer. And he has a
guitarist.
Do what now?
He's been nominated for Musician of the Year for the CMA several years.
Okay. Well, he's got a birthday here this week. Trick Pony's Keith Burns with a birthday. Billy Currington, Georgia boy, and must be doing something right. The singer of that and so much more, born this week in 1973. Also, you've got Curly Putnam, songwriter who died in 2016. He was born back in 1930 this week. Dierks Bentley, the Arizonan, is celebrating a birthday as he will be turning 45 years young this week. And then Josh Turner, the South Carolinian, with a birthday here this week as Josh is turning 43 years young. And then the great Jean Shepherd. We lost her in 2016, Grand Ole Opry singer. She was born in 1933 here this week, and that's a quick look at some of the birthdays, Precious, of all that's going on. So we're not going to be on with you next week since it'll be Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving, what does that mean for you and the rest of the country music community?
Well, a lot of people, like I said, we're still it's pretty bad when the White House calls out Tennessee for the rising COVID cases. So I'm actually not going to be traveling. My father has decided to cancel Thanksgiving. But through the generosity of one of my clients, they are having Thanksgiving delivered to my husband and I for Thanksgiving. So give a shout out to Miss Storm, Storm. She's my alternative rock artist, incredible guitar player. And her mother's from South Africa and her dad's from Germany. So it's a very fun, wonderful family. And I've been blessed to have them as my client. But they're treating us, which I thought that was really nice because I, with everything going on, trying to cover, it's been a busy month, even though we've been in a different state of awards and things like that. It's been a rough month because every October and November is the month for awards and celebrations and everybody's seeing each other. And it's literally like a reunion on Music Row from the BMI Award, the ASCAP Award, the CSAC Awards, the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame induction. And, of course, it's just all around. Everybody looks forward to the fall. It's cooling down. get to see everybody, a little bit more time to hang out. And so, and with not happening, it's been, I don't want to say I'm depressed, but I felt like somebody stuck a pin in my balloon. But next year we're going to have a double celebration, November the 1st.
Yeah,
On
I love it.
Hall
I
of
love
Fame.
it. And so many people, even myself, the whole year has been completely upside down. And we're all looking forward to when this is behind us. And keep in mind, the country music industry, for the most part, has had the worst year they've ever had here in 2020, with artists not being able to tour and make money during that. I don't know how they're going to, how they're going to rebound. Well, let's hope in a big way. Let's hope that sometime in 2021, the venues won't have any kind of restrictions, and there'll be just concert after concert after concert and records after records, and it'll be just one big party going forward.
Yes, I was actually interviewing real quick before we go a hit songwriter last week just to check in on him, and he goes, they're setting up Skype sessions, and he said you can do that, but there's something about energy in a room feeding off each other. What about this idea and that idea? And he said, what they call the aura in a room. You just know when a hit song is going to be written. You could just feel it that morning. And, Skype is okay because you have to do it. That's just the way things are. But I've
Mm-hmm.
talked to several of the hit writers said, they're like, oh, we're going to start trying to do it this way. And he goes, but I don't want to be this way. He said, I want to be in the room with my friends, writing songs and feeding off of them, then going out to eat and then coming back and finishing the song. And so hopefully we can. Thank God Santa doesn't have any restrictions on him.
That is true. Precious, we thank you and a happy Thanksgiving. We'll catch up with you in about 2 weeks. And until then, eat a lot of turkey.
Oh, yes.
All right. Preshias Harris, our correspondent on Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, that will wrap up our Nashville Music Line this week. We appreciate you being on, and happy early Thanksgiving to all of y'all. This is the show that covers everything in the South. Hey, everybody, this is Y'all.